Good morning. It's Randy Bixby, your host with Character Genetics Live, and I've got a very exciting show for you today. Those of you maybe just be tuning in, Character Genetics, we're a leadership and character development company. We do coaching and workshops, consulting, and really shifting results by shifting the core thinking, the character that people have, and more than just helping people get better results in their families and their businesses, which is great and it's exciting in organizations. One of the real passions on my heart is to see communities come together and shift the culture within a community to solve problems. And I have a very special love and connection with these people across the country who step into that place. These people are what I call cultural architects. In other words, they are people who are not only living their own lives at a level that is getting results and seeing, balance in their life and fruit in their ministries or profits in their business or just really making things happen, not just for themselves, but they have also taken up a concern to see things shift in culture. And it doesn't take very long to look around and see that we've got some major issues in our nation right now and globally. I mean, literally, our world's on fire. That's the truth. And it isn't just going to be changed or solved by people who are armchair quarterbacking and calling things, good and bad and what should be done. It actually will only be changed, in my view, for the better when cultural architects, like our guest today that I'm going to introduce to you in a minute, actually are in trusting relationships with other leaders of leaders at what I call the gates of culture. So in media and in business and arts and entertainment and, of course, religion and government and so forth. But they come together not just leading their own lives, but in collaboration with one another. They're taking on issues that really matter. And as goes the culture, so goes everything. I mean, we learned this a long time ago when you occupy something with, overcome something with military might. It's only when you go in and occupy the culture and shift the way things are, the values, the core values and of the people, that really things shift permanently. And so Character Genetics, we're all about permanent shifts and lasting change, both personally, organizationally, but also in communities. So I'm very excited today. I'm going to introduce you to our guest right after our little intro here for our next segment called called the Cultural Architects. All right, we have with us today from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, David Hucks. David is the founding organizer of the Myrtle Beach People's Rally, which is coming up here in about a week. Very excited, going to be with David in Myrtle Beach. But good morning, David. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Randy. Good to be with you guys.
And just let us know, what is the People's Rally and why are people rallying in Myrtle Beach?
Well, the People's Rally is really an extension of some frustrations me and my friends had about what was going on in not only nationally, internationally, but also locally in many cities. We decided to put together a solutions-oriented gathering of thousands of people in Myrtle Beach concerning a lot of the issues of today. I'm not sure if you're aware, Randy, but Myrtle Beach is the #2 family vacation destination in America, and over 15 million people visit us.
So what are those issues, Dave, for Myrtle Beach?
For Myrtle Beach, well, Myrtle Beach has really and truly struggled in the last few years to maintain a family-friendly, hospitality-oriented construct as the city's grown. We were a bed town for families, a lot of Southeastern families that were coming and enjoying the experience. But as we grew, I guess you could say we became arrogant. And a lot of the more recent laws that have been passed have been unfriendly towards our guests. And as well as now there's a big push to put casino gambling in our town. We feel like that would entirely change the DNA of the city. And so a myriad of issues have come together that all need addressing, that all need looking at. And as a group, we're coming together to discuss those and to have transformation into solutions for those.
So for the People's Rally, I noticed in your theme it states that most Americans today are living in a story that is too small. Can you explain that for us?
Well, I'll give you an example of my own story. I was a political junkie who watched political television shows on both the left and the right, and I'd find myself simply screaming at the television program without really any solutions. Just, everyone's excited or angry or upset, but there were no real solutions to what was being discussed or debated. It was simply an arousal, if you would, or an excitement about nothing. What we decided was, well, how do you transform culture? And we began to look at cultural moments of transformation.
Okay.
And you can look at certain episodes in history, like, for example, in the 1500s when you had the printing press, or the founding of America, or an ancient time called Pentecost, where a whole culture or a whole city was transformed. And we ask ourselves, what happened there? What was the key flashpoint that caused those things to happen? And we feel like we've isolated a few key things that occurred that allowed for what we call mass transformation of a large number of peoples to work together, to come together, to work together to exact cultural change inside a city or inside of a state, even inside as far as a region. We've seen this happen.
Yeah.
And we've studied it.
I love that. And I love this about you and others like you, David, who are cultural architects, because frankly, this is what happens in personal lives as well as we look at our culture. Many people are hopeless today. They're skeptical, they're cynical, and frankly, what happens for most people, this is when in coaching, working with a lot of people, most people, what they do is they lower the bar. One of the ways that we deal with our broken expectations, our hopes that are dashed, so to speak, we see, culture shifting in ways so far away from our, biblical values and so forth. And values are just healthy human values. And one of the ways to deal with that is just to shut down or lower the bar, expect less, just kind of not rock the boat. And frankly, I agree with you, especially with some of the people that should be speaking and working because they've got solutions. And I'm talking about the faith community. That's my background too. And that's not everybody's lens, but that's my lens. And I'm critical of myself and all those with that lens who lower the bar. Don't you see that? We just kind of say, oh, well, it'll take care of itself, or, oh, well, there's nothing I can do. Do you find that with people?
Yes. What I find is when the commitment has to go from your head to your heart on change, a lot of people are willing to make the head agreement. It's when you actually make the practical, applicable heart agreement and start doing.
For sure.
That's where I really find the great fall off. I rarely ever have someone who says, oh, I disagree with this or I disagree with that.
Right.
But start actively getting into the being part of it or doing part of it, that's when we have a great fallout.
Yeah, and that's where we see this. Frankly, talk is cheap. You can get birds to talk, right?
Yeah.
Talk is cheap, and the day for talking has got us where we are today. We might think we know a lot, and I say we with a broad stroke. I'm not speaking about everybody, but there's a number of us that we think we know a lot. But so what? If we're not producing results that really are our values, then there's a problem, and most likely that problem starts when we look in the mirror. So, and I mentioned the biblical base. I notice in your rally there seems to be a lot of reference to Christian values, Christian things. So can you tell us about that? Is this just a Christian thing, or do you think that's appropriate when you're looking at real efforts in the city?
Well, there's this whole idea that apparently goes back to our founding fathers of a separation between church, our creator, and the created. And, how do you separate creation from its creator? It'd be like separating a car from an individual, the individual creator. The car has no purpose. It has no meaning without its creator. It just sits and rusts and rots. So we don't believe in that whole dichotomy of a separation of creation from creator. We think it's all integrated. We think the problem today, the frustration, is that we're not looking at the problems as integrated problems. We also believe that the source of hope, the reason we're frustrated is that we put our source of hope into two different things. One is a human solution. I don't believe the problems we have really are human solution oriented. And let me explain to what I mean to you. Humans can create problems. We're not really great at solving them without help, without assistance. And when we talk about things out of context, I don't know if you've ever written or created or produced something, and as you were producing it, it seemed to produce itself, it seemed to write itself, or it seemed to do itself. We believe the great flashpoints in history, it's almost as if they wrote themselves, they did themselves. What happens is there's a confluence of agreement, of faith agreement, where people give up the nonsense they believed in, the things they were hoping for, and they all came into a higher plane of understanding. And if they were going to have or realize a greater purpose, they had to get on a different agenda. And really and truly, the problem is the agenda we're on. We believe that in the People's Rally, if we get on an internal agenda, if we start seeing things in an eternal perspective, and we start realizing what the circumstances we're in are all really about, what they're really about is getting us to come into a faith agreement and changing our DNA by having us in the process, preparing us for eternity. We believe that everything that happens on this earth has eternal purposes. And because of that, we see them in a different context than the person who might be living them out, living only in the circumstances.
Yeah. You know, this is a really interesting point. In my own life, David, one of the tensions that I find myself living in is this tension of, you know, from my faith perspective, which part is God's part and which part is my part, right? That tension of, am I doing too much or am I doing enough? And what is he going to do and what is he not going to do? And I've really seen the last maybe 8 years of my life in this journey really take some massive shifts. And here's how it worked. I don't know if you can relate to this, but for me, I just simply started looking at my results. I started looking at my fruit. And I'd read about all the promises of how my life should have joy and should have peace and I should have abundance and not be in lack. I shouldn't be broke. And if I'm going to, all this stuff. And I just started being real honest and looking at my life and where I saw that, you know what, I'm not demonstrating this. I began to just play with that in my own, way with God. Okay, what I'm going to do a little more and see if that changes my results. Or I'm going to do a little less and pray a little more or whatever and see if it changes. And I've found in that tension and in that balance that at sometimes I have been way too dependent on God or just for it to happen. And I didn't step up and take personal responsibility for showing up, for coming to the rally, right? For writing my legislatures, for giving the campaigns that agree with, godliness, whatever, for doing my part. And then in other places, I'm sitting there just, doing it all in my own strength, and I'm still not getting a result. And so I backed up from there and said, okay, I'm obviously striving here. I'm not getting results. So how is it that I need to shift things so that I'm dependent more on you or more on others? And it has been quite a journey in that tension, but in that tension, I've been able to produce, greater and greater results. Does that resonate with you?
That exactly resonates with me. And, we talked about the car and the creator earlier. It would be pretty hard for a car. Google's creating one, but it's really hard for a car to drive itself, or without it being programmed or without it being driven.
Sure.
Reality is this. When I'm doing too much, I'm usually doing things independent of God's flow and God's design. And when I'm doing too little, I don't want to participate. So as humans, the basic thing is, as a human, I'm a responder.
Yeah.
And what I often find is as a responder, early on in the process, when I'm getting into agreement with God, the first things that happen is really God takes things away. It almost looks like death. My beliefs, my values, my ideas, my belief that I can do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
He starts taking those kinds of things away to create dependence. Now, in the flashpoint places that we looked at, it was never the people in power that made things happen. The Neros, the popes at the Catholic Church of the Reformation, the kings. It was always people who were walking in something I call authority.
Grassroots
people. This power-authority dichotomy. And we said, how do you get authority? Power comes with your position. I'm the CEO of XYZ Corporation.
Yeah.
Therefore, I have power. People won't follow power. They'll fear it, but they won't follow it. Jesus Christ had authority. Later on, his disciples would have authority.
Yeah.
We believe that authority comes from being inspired or indwelled by the Holy Spirit. And it takes us up to a higher plane of living on a different agenda. And everyone, including kings, noblemen, priests, they'll follow authority.
Mm-hmm.
They will follow authority regardless of your position. So our solution, our real solution at the People's Rally, is to help people get transformed into walking in high authority. Something, by the way, that's promised in the four Gospels. Jesus Christ received the Holy Spirit. He also promises that they walk in authority. And you know what? Galatians 5:22 that you mentioned earlier, the fruits of the Spirit, they're self-evident. And they are individuals that can solve problems because they walk in high authority.
That fruit shows up. That's the evidence that there's something really going on. And I hear this theme from you, David, and others around the country that Christians, believers, it's time more than ever to step up and to be involved at what, again, I call the gates of culture, to take your spot as a leader, as a decision maker in the courts. I mean, we've got such, activist judges. It's out of control. But one way to address that, and it may be a long-term strategy, but is to get a believer with a value set in that seat of power, making decisions that they can exercise that fruit and demonstrate it. It's not rocket science. We just have, and this is my judgment. Okay, this is my bias. I think in the church, we've focused on programs, on survival, on our own stuff, even with good intentions. I'm not saying it's been bad. We love people. We want to see them grow healthy, etc. However, we've isolated ourselves from being the yeast. Jesus talked about the leaven of the kingdom, and this leaven has to go out. And I'm so excited to be with you because I'm bringing a part of the message when I'm going to be with you at the People's Rally that I think it transformed my thinking around church. And I'm really excited to challenge some assumptions that we have, especially, let's be honest, a lot of, ministers, we kind of think we know a lot. And in a lot of ways we do. And we're not getting the results, so there's a problem. It's not just about what we know. And I'm going to really hit some of those because I'm with you. I think believers ought to be active in every part of culture if we're going to be the East. Do you think that's really possible, though, David? I mean, you and I, we talk about this and we're excited about it, but more than just the passion, excitement, is this really possible in your view that regular people really take their places of power and culture and authority?
Well, in history, it's been possible. Paul goes into Rome in chains, and with the Holy Spirit, he and the Holy Spirit, within a few hundred years, Rome is a Christian city. Now, it was a pagan city. They were worshiping everything, and they had a lot of lewd acts going on there. It was a powerful city, the most powerful city in the world. So Paul takes the Holy Spirit and a pair of handcuffs. He changes Rome. The founders, I believe the founders walked in the power of an inspired Holy Spirit. You can see it in their writings. I don't know that Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. I believe it was an inspired writing that flowed through him. I mean, you read, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. That flowed through him. I believe that with all my heart. He changed the world. They didn't just change America. Through that, they changed the world. There was no America to believe in. Here's the problem with the church today. They believe in something our founders never believed in. It was the fabric of what our founders believed in that created America, not the other way around. So we're frustrated, frankly, as a church, because we put too much faith in America. America without indwelled people and walking in authority, taking their roles in the culture is worthless. It's like a paper tiger. It has no value. We need to put our trust in the things our founders put their trust in to make America great. And honestly, there's a lot of death involved in that, a lot of dying to what we believed in. We really believed that America would pull us through. We need to pull America through. That's more what's going on.
That's good. We need to pull America through. That's true. We're gonna take a break here, commercial break here in just a minute, but we're gonna come back with David Hucks, the founding organizer of the Myrtle Beach People's Rally, and I want to get that up here on our screen for you. And I want to encourage you to come out and meet with us. Get out. There it is. August 8th and 9th at Pelican Stadium, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the People's Rally, where people are standing up and saying enough's enough. And I feel like there's a ton of people like that, frankly, in America right now. It's kind of like there's another straw and another straw and another straw. And, you know, it's breaking our backs. It's kind of, I was in the car today just coming in thinking enough is enough. You know, it is time for a wake-up call. We're going to come back with David Hucks here in a moment, right after this commercial break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
See them here, see them there. You got bad credit? We don't care.
Visit emetroford.com for your guaranteed credit approval. Good credit, bad credit, no credit. Everybody drives with guaranteed credit approval at emetroford.com. Visit emetroford.com today.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, this is Randy Bixby back here with David Hucks, the founding organizer from the Myrtle Beach People's Rally. And here's some information up on your screen about the rally. And August 8th and 9th, Pelican Stadium. Friday night, the 8th, from 7 to 11. And some fun going on. I'm going to be with him there. I'm so excited about that. Andrew McMillan is going to be there. Powerful speaker with a great story of facing some of the cartels in Colombia and some of the transformation and turnaround that happened there. Exciting. Then on Saturday, the 9th, from 1 to 4 p.m., everybody's going to meet at Pelican Stadium for some more challenging message, and then there's a walk from the stadium down by City Hall and so forth. So I'm excited to be a part of that. I'm still here with David Hucks, and David, we didn't get to a couple of things I wanted to get to in our first segment. So talk to us here about. You've mentioned a couple of places here. Once people are inspired or spirit-led, can you explain that just a little bit more for us?
Yeah, when we were studying about flashpoints in history of dramatic change, one of the things that just fascinated me was oftentimes today we talk about individual growth, individual change, and individual transformation. What we learned was there have been flashpoints in history where, like a healthy virus, corporately people were suddenly transformed, sudden transformations. And when you look at the phenomenon, it happened, French Revolution, American independence, Pentecost, the Protestant Reformation. We went, what happened? How did all of these people corporately suddenly get captured with the same thought process, the same energy, the same motivation? And we realized it wasn't an educational process, it was an access process. Suddenly something happened to them.
Yeah.
Something happened to them. And you know what? It's mysterious, but it happens. It's where everything that the group had believed in suddenly was pushed aside, and the group woke up to a greater corporate dynamic. That's how cities really get transferred. And it is part us, and it's part the Holy Spirit. The Spirit moving in, we have to receive it. We have to be willing to say, I'm willing to die to all of this other stuff and allow for this new idea to germinate, this new spirit to germinate inside of me. Many times, it's almost like an invasion. When people are so frustrated, they're to the point of being so frustrated, there's a tipping point and the invasion occurs. We think that that is a right time for this moment, in this point in history. We think we're another transformation movement, a corporate transformation movement is about to happen, not only in America, but worldwide.
Yeah,
we see it happening.
I agree with you, and it's about time because it's almost too late. And I see this in Detroit. You know, I do a lot of work in the Detroit area, and it really has started with a few people who, I mean, that's really radical language to say you have to die to something like, wow. You know, for people that aren't familiar with that jargon, that's like, what is he talking about? You know, I think you're really just saying, you know, I've got these expectations of how I think things ought to be or should be, but that's just not working. And I need to get in alignment and agreement with what will work. And you're talking about an inner transformation and this is the whole work of character genetics. That's why these cultural architects like David are so important in this mission that we're on, is because cultural change, shaping culture happens, I believe, and we believe, from the inside out. In fact, that's the title of the book I'm writing, Character Genetics, Shaping Culture from the Inside Out. When I change, like you said, David, I'm transformed. When I really love and I really, you know, work this fruit and it's evident in my life, that shifts my family, it shifts my community, my relationships, then it shifts my sphere of influence, the job I have. In fact, I want to talk just a little bit about that here in a moment, but I want you to share with us again the details of the rally, what it costs, and how people can attend.
I want to do that, but I want to say one last thing, Randy, on what you just hit.
Yeah.
Faith transformation isn't about not having enough faith. We in America have more faith than we're given credit for. We just have faith in the wrong things that don't work. Faith transformation is moving your faith from something that's frustrated you, that didn't work, into something that has an absolute opportunity to work. And those are solutions. We're going to make guarantees at this rally and guarantees that will work. The rally is going to be August the 8th. 7 p.m. We're going to meet there. We're going to have a couple of hours. You're going to speak. Andrew's going to speak. We're going to have live entertainment. The next day, we're going to get up and we're going to do something. It's called an obedience move or a peace move. We're actually going to take a moment of faith to walk from the stadium and around by the central powers of government here in Myrtle Beach. And we're just going to prayer walk. What we find is when we're open to a new ideology or a new belief system, a greater, more expansive belief system, our actions become energized, our abilities become enhanced, and we are inspired to do a greater work than just laying around and watching TV and screaming at it. The rally is free. It doesn't cost a dime to anyone. It's paid for. We will be taking donations at the rally for anyone who wants to give, but the rally itself is free, and we encourage everyone to come. We think there's going to be a transformational moment at this rally. We're expecting that.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get there and to spend some time with you and to be a part of that event. And I am, in a moment, I'm going to jump all over what you just said, because that is right at the core of my purpose on this earth, as I understand it. So we want to do that, but I want to just... there it is on your screen, myrtlebeachpeoplesrally.com. You can get more information about the event. And I just want to say this, you know, David says it's free. There's no free lunch. That event is costing tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm sure it wouldn't bother you if there was someone with a heart to see a city changed and to see that happen, if they would come along and sow into that pot and help you out. I'm sure that would be you'd welcome that. Am I right, David?
Absolutely. We're hoping to get donations at the rally, and we are looking. The rallies are ongoing. The rallies are really just flashpoints for a stronger, longer, solution-based process that's going to be going on and on and on and increasing. So we're going to be looking for the financial support. God has blessed us so far to make ends meet. It's been really, really tight, but where God guides, He provides.
Yeah. And
we believe that a transformed America is worth the investment for us, and we hope we can find others who believe the same thing.
Thank you, David. And if you're able to, I'd like you just to stand by here. I'm going to talk just for a little bit, and but I kind of want to get your input if you're available. Can you stick around for a little bit?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to be bringing parts of really just my heart and my life there in Myrtle Beach in a segment that I call the Govern Mantle, shaping culture. developing impact and influence to change my world. And this is really an interesting word. First of all, govern mantle. It's not governmental. It's govern mantle, a mantle to govern. And this is something that for the last 7 years plus of my life that I've been stepping into. And the govern mantle is this is how I describe the govern mantle. The govern mantle, where is it? Here it is. I define it this way: the mastery of governing self, sphere, and culture, resulting in maximum kingdom imprint. That's a mouthful. And but what it is what David was suggesting. It is growing in authority from the inside out at a personal level, then in my sphere, in my position or my assignment, and then in culture to shape it. And I have a good friend, Gordon Pennington, and he is a world-renowned guy, fascinating man. And he has this quote, and I like it. He said, "We have more books, quotes, and workshops on leadership than ever before," and that's true. And yet, we have a leadership crisis. It's a character crisis at the core. And I'm full in on that. It's part of why character genetics for me is so important. See, to change your results, I believe you have to change your character. That our character is the real inventor of our results. And this is just not my thought. This is actually an ancient thought, not just in biblical text or Christian belief systems, but in many religions. And in Christianity, there's a proverb, 23:7. It says this: "As a man or woman thinketh in their heart, so are they." That's what it says. In other words, what I believe at a heart level, inside, subconscious, that is what I'll be. And if you backwards engineer that, it's fascinating. So am I, as I believe in my heart. That's also true. And to David's point earlier, he said we're a country of faith, and that's true. And here's the thing, and catching that, I wanted to just add a distinctive to that, David, was we actually have right now manifesting or demonstrating in culture what we actually believe, because that's what that proverb says. We are right now as a culture as we believe in our heart. Ouch. At least I say ouch to that. I think, whoa, I don't like that in a lot of places, not everywhere, not all the time, but that's something that I really believe we need to own. We need to take responsibility for that in our city, in Myrtle Beach, David, right? So is it right now as people believe in their hearts, so to speak. And that's the war we're waging, so to speak, is what is your heart, what I call your core thinking and values that predetermine your behavior. That's how I define character. It's the core thinking and values that I live from, the lenses I have as I live, that they predetermine what I do, whether I go to a rally, whether I don't, whether I gamble, whether I don't, whether I use prostitutes or I don't, whether I cheat on my taxes or I don't, whether I care about, hungry kids here in America or I don't. And it's the core thinking that must shift and transform, as you said, if I'm really going to transform my results. Does that resonate with you?
Randy, here's the amazing thing. We have 582,000 fans on Facebook, and we poll them to see what their highest core pursuit was. Believe it or not, the information synthesized out that their highest core pursuit was comfort or entertainment. Those were their two highest values. Comfort first, entertainment was a close second. We believe that man was created for purpose, adventure, and destiny.
For sure.
And we believe that the model that we're pursuing, the thing that we're hoping for, is not the thing that we were designed for. So what we're trying to do is to get people to see their identity, their purpose, and their need for an adventurous life and not a risk-averse life. We think risk is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
We think it's a great character genetic positive. And here's the situation. When people find comfort, they're often bored. They're bored, which leads them to all kinds of crazy things. When people are adventurous and are seeking adventure, they are full.
That's good.
Their life is meaningful. And adventure includes loving one another and doing it corporately. Here's what's wild about that, and here's what I find fascinating. When people get inspired or filled with the Holy Spirit, they no longer have to strive to find out what their meaning and their purpose is. And they no longer have to go out and start pursuing things like hundreds of thousands of dollars into this type of counseling or that kind of counseling or this kind of addiction control. They suddenly have meaningful, full lives.
Yeah. In fact, in working with people, right, these are the basics. Who are you? Why are you here? What's your identity? What's your purpose? And yet, it's almost as if this pursuit of comfort and entertainment is numbing. It's almost like that becomes so much of a noise that we don't really answer these more pressing questions like, who am I? Why am I here? What are my gifts? What are my passions? Why do I have breath of life in me while I'm on this planet for a vapor of a few years? And am I going to get busy around that? That doesn't even come up because it's drowned in that. I couldn't agree more. I want to make a couple other comments here around this what I call the cultural gates. Here's this Govern Mantle. I want to just drop it. I'm going to get a whole lot deeper into this when I'm with you there, but it's really what it's about. The idea of governing really is this. It's to direct the flow of a thing. That's governing. So it's almost like having a hose, like a garden hose, if the water's flowing through it and it's open and it's, clear, it's going to blast through. There's a big flow. If I crimp that hose, I actually, stop the flow. That's governing. And however much I crimp it is how much I'm governing the flow that's going through there. And this is just a tip of the iceberg, but I believe, Dave, like you, that cultural architects, men and women who really care and who are at least coming from a biblical worldview, know that we are here during this time on the earth to govern the earth. That's literally what the scriptures say. They say you are here to subdue the earth, rule over it, govern the earth. That's part of our original design. You spoke of what's our purpose. Part of our purpose is to govern. And it's not just water through a hose. We're here to govern the resources of the planet. We're here to govern the ideas and innovation and creativity. Here to govern money and favor. And it is what Jesus is committed to build. And I know this is so profound for me, and I'm going to unpack this a whole lot more later. But here's the thought. When Jesus said, I'm going to build my church, build the ecclesia, that word, ecclesia, is not a religious word. It's not a rabbinical word. It is a word from culture, Greco-Roman culture. And it means the Senate, the elected officials who come in and hear the heart of the king and the emperor. They hear his heart. This is what I want in finance. This is what I want in business. This is what I want in agriculture. This is what I want in military. This is what I want in family and entertainment. This is what I want in values. And they go back out into culture. The ecclesia goes back out into culture with the heart of the king, and they make it that way in their sphere of influence. They start making decisions that agree and align with the heart of the king. And that is so vitally important. And here's the line that I'm working on. Not just a line; it's a truth. That the church is a family of governing officials. A family of governing officials of the kingdom. That's who we are. We're brothers, we're sisters, we're part of the house of God, but we are here to influence, as Jesus prayed, to bring heaven to earth. Father, let it be so on earth as it is in heaven. And he's not going to just do that mysteriously or just spiritually. He's going to do it with us in partnership because we're co-laboring. And that has been this journey for me. In this co-laboring, what part's my part? What part's God's part? What part do we need to do together that I can't do alone? This is why I'm so excited to connect with cultural architects like David Hucks, Myrtle Beach founding organizer of the People's Rally. And David's exciting time for Myrtle Beach. It's exciting time for us. And not just exciting, it's a critical time. This is the time. It's now. It's showtime. It's go time. Any other thoughts here before we go to break?
Yeah. Randy, there's so much fascination there with the supernatural. And I find it just, especially millennials, especially younger people, are so fascinated with the supernatural. And there's a reason for that. There's a draw into that. That's a good thing. And even though it hasn't produced what we know it's going to produce yet, it's a good thing. In early text in Genesis, God talks about breathing the Spirit into man, he became a living being. And those of us who have really studied the scriptures, we know that when Adam partake or ate of that fruit, the Spirit left him. And that's what his death was. He didn't fall over dead. That guiding thing, that living in thing left him. And it wouldn't return until Christ resurrected and Christ sent it. But here's the cool deal. God's desire was always to work through people and to work in people, in and through. And not just in a way that we think of as a distant type of way, but actually to abide in them, to live out creation through his creation. That's a radical thought. It's a supernatural thought.
Yeah.
That's a supernatural thought that we believe is absolutely necessary for us to have the Govern Mantle mandate that you're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't have the wisdom in and of ourselves to rule and to be just. It's that our DNA matching up with that accelerator,
Yeah.
with that super compound called God inside of us,
Yep.
that really makes our DNA everything it was designed to be.
And the thing I love about you and others is it's not just theory. These aren't just ideas. I mean, we're kind of talking shop here. We're kind of talking a lot of, jargon and that because we're just so passionate about this. But let's just get back into the here and now and what's going on for a moment. And that is this, that the time for talking and just theorizing and just having ideology and just, what I think, frankly, it's done. It's powerless. The scripture's clear on that, right? That
Yeah, totally
the kingdom's not a matter of words, but a matter of the demonstration of the Spirit's power, not just in supernatural, that's wonderful, but also in showing up in government, in showing up in the policies that are happening in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina right now that really affect the lives of men and women and marriages. I mean, the stats on even just something like gambling, one of the things that's so critical at this point, they're clear. It's not an argument about what gambling does in the community. It destroys relationships, lives, finances. It's not a mystery. That's not even up for debate. It might produce some revenue here and there, but the fallout and the costs, in my view, so far outweigh the benefits. And it's time to do something. And even if that do something is to show up with others at a rally to get the same, you said, to get it like-minded. It's so the power of agreement is profound. It's profound. When people get together and they agree on something, there's not just 1 + 1. It's 1 times 10 times 100 times 1,000. It's exponential in the impact, and I'm believing that that's what's going to happen at the rally, not just in that moment, but in that rally going forward. We got just about 60 seconds before we're going to take another break, David, but would you speak just briefly to the vision even beyond this one rally? I know there's something in your heart for Myrtle Beach that goes on, and I know say you have a minute or less to do that. It's not very, very much or maybe very nice, but can you encapsulate that for us? But what this is one step of really a bigger heartbeat and a bigger vision. Can you just address that real quickly?
Yeah, quickly. We believe that early discussions about faith in American history weren't just discussions about faith. We believe they were discussions that all other discussions and all other laws were built upon. We believe that faith was a natural part of the fabric of dialogue at that time. We've taken religion now, we've put it over in its own little category, and we've compartmentalized it away from the world. All the resources needed to transform America and to make it a great country again are locked up inside the four walls of the church. Finances, talent, leadership, all of this is being locked up Sunday morning from 10 to 12. God is fixing to move with us or without us. The timing is right. We want to empower those people, those sources, those resources. We want to empower them to step back out and be a fabrical part of what we are, an integrated part, so that we can transform this country once again. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It might not happen globally, but in certain hot spots, this nation's fixing to be transformed.
Yeah, and I know there's a group of people out there that are resonating with this and like, yes. And there's also people that are like deer in the headlights. And that's not an insult. That's just like, this is new language. This is new thinking. And it's critical that we get this. I want to come back after the break and the close. And but before that, we're going to go to a little a commercial, and it's really around, one of them is around the workshops that we do here at Character Genetics. In working with people, in working with organizations, in working with denominations, working with businesses, to help them see what is it, you said that supernatural, catalyst. Really, what I call that is an inducer. And we built a transformation system around this idea in molecular biology of an inducer. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but it's a threefold process of how literally in science, our DNA, the genes in our DNA go through a process to the completion of their design. And that process is just a beautiful picture of the work that needs to be done in us in changing our thinking, right? Because we're transformed, as we've been talking, by the renewing of our mind. We have to think totally new thoughts. And so if this is foreign to you, that's all right. It's not foreign bad, it's foreign good. And to transform our thinking, we can transform our results. And it's critical that we do so right now in this hour as we move forward. So take a look. We're having some technical difficulties. He's looking at me because I'm in charge of that. The technical difficulties is called human error. Let me pop that up here a second. And here we go.
What made it unique for me was the experience of it.
Character genetics has given me the ability to identify internal structures.
It's life-changing. It's something that you need in your life.
How a like-minded group of individuals can come together and support one another.
How your mindsets are keeping you from doing the things that you need to do and keeping you from growing.
To calibrate me, to expose me to my blind spot.
Equipped me with how to move into a different way of thinking and living.
It unraveled and exposed some ways of thinking that were keeping me from apprehending all of my future and all that was available for me.
To get a better grip on your line of thinking, how you're thinking.
And after the Reveal class ended, the most surprising part was that the Reveal continued.
Experience Reveal, the first of 3 Character Genetics Transformative Leadership Workshops. Reveal, the big aha that changes everything.
From a financial perspective, it helped equip me with ways to really take control of my decisions, my choices, and it comes into complete alignment with the reality that I'm not a victim.
Reveal is transformative and interactive. The first workshop is a 16-hour executive group coaching experience that lives up to its name. It reveals obstacles to growth and exposes self-sabotaging mindsets. Enhanced with personal coaching and consultation, the result is the ability to respond and resolve your personal and organizational challenges.
I've heard lots of sermons, I've heard lots of teachings. You tell me about character genetics and I can remember moments where somebody's life was changed.
Break patterns of behavior that cause cyclical failure. Identify blind spots that stall out personal success. Grow in the critical leadership skills of self-awareness, personal responsibility, listening, and focus. Experience permanent shifts and lasting change in communication skills, business practices, relationships, and finances. Begin to uncap your dreams.
One of the things that happens in character genetics is that the learning process is taking place in the context of relationships. It's like there's a group dynamic. I love what character genetics is doing because its methodology is very unique to anything that I've seen anywhere.
Through workshops, coaching, and consulting, Character Genetics Transformative Leadership Systems are empowering leaders to produce results and maximize their potential fast. Experience accelerated, measurable, and sustainable change by attending a Character Genetics Reveal workshop.
It's well worth the money.
It is definitely worth the investment.
I'm confident that it'll help you accelerate the curve on reaching the kind of transformation you want for your life.
It was well worth it. It was completely life transforming for me.
This program can deliver for you.
For a free consultation, contact us at charactergenetics.com today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wonderscheid.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
It's Randy Bixby, Character Genetics Live, and we're talking today with David Hucks, the founding organizer for the Myrtle Beach People's Rally coming up a week from tomorrow and Saturday in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And we've been talking all day about transformation and how necessary it is, how vitally critical at this point in history that it's time that we get serious about really a transformation that's coming from the inside out, that it's my character, my inner core thinking and values that must shift. And so we've been talking about it, and here's the thought that I want to leave with you here in our closing minutes here, and that is this: if we knew what thinking was wrong, we would change it. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, we're not idiots. If we knew what thinking was wrong, if we were aware of it, we would just simply change it and we'd get a different result. And here is the issue. We are, by and large, unaware of the thinking that's wrong. That's just straight neuroscience, right? The neuroscience says that 90 to 95%, even some of the stats say, of the choices we make, the decisions we make that run our lives, that our behavior, we make from a place of our subconscious or our heart level. The Bible calls it the hidden part, David called it that before modern psychology called it the subconscious. The inner part, the hidden part, the thinking that goes on at that level are just like lenses that I see the world through. And that's what drives my decisions. That's what makes me say, this is good, that's bad, this is what needs to change. And if I am unaware of my thinking at a heart level that's causing the current results that I have, and the current results are just read the paper, Google it. I mean, the stats of what's happening, not just in Myrtle Beach, but in West Des Moines, Iowa, and in Detroit, Michigan, and all around the country, in Chicago, right, in our southern states at the border, in Israel, right now, in the Ukraine, all around the world. Behavior is happening because of subconscious or heart level beliefs that for the most part people are unaware of. That's why the training that we do is so critical. I was trained, apprenticed actually, by one of the premier leadership and character development companies in our country, training executives and companies, Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies, several network marketing companies, a whole host of other companies, in an experiential model of training. And it's through experiencing of games and exercises in different ways that I teach you how to become aware of that thinking that we don't know is wrong, so that we can take responsibility for the thinking that's wrong and take responsibility for the right thinking that can shift our character and shift our results. To me, it's the transformation that David and I have been talking about that happens on the inside first. Then it transforms and it demonstrates in my life, in my sphere, and then ultimately in what we call cultural authority. I want to put this screen up. I don't know if you can read that. This is a quote, or a concept that I really work all of the training off of, and it's a perspective, and it's this. Kingdom cultural transformation occurs when men and women demonstrate cultural authority in collaboration across spheres through, and this is important, through sustained, trusting relationships and unified strategic action. That is a mouthful, and I'm not going to unpack it right now. But I believe after working with people, working in Detroit, Lima, Peru, some towns in Ohio and around the country, that this is the issue. Transformation and authority comes inside first, and I demonstrate it, and then it goes to a cultural authority. But I must be in a sustained, trusting relationship, collaborating with other people that I like to call cultural architects. People at the same, place. They're decision makers in culture. They're business owners. They're judges. They're lawyers. They're professionals. They're ministry leaders. They're people in government. They're people. One of the things I do, I serve up at the state legislature as a volunteer chaplain. I love that, and just because I have a passion to see culture shift and to see literally heaven on earth, or as it is on earth as it is in heaven. And it happens from the inside out. And it happens from becoming aware of thinking that is producing, frankly, the critical and mess of the situation that we have on our hands right now. So we're going to just touch base. Any final words, thoughts from our guest, David Hucks, organizer for the Myrtle Beach People's Rally? David, last words?
Yeah, real quickly. People are ready. The culture is ripe for solutions that work. We've tried a lot of things that don't work. And people the frustration levels are very high. We are going to embrace solutions at our rally for peace, stability, opportunity. All of these things will be discussed in the context of adventure, in the context of doing. You see, we can't expect other people to make this happen for us. We have to join the flow of God's will. Our will meets God's will. We have to see the agenda in the proper context, a big picture context. That's abundantly living. That's a promise. It will happen. There's a bunch of people that are going to grab hold of this, and you're going to see some exciting stuff over the next 5 to 10 years. That's a promise.
I'm with you, David, and I believe it. I believe that this event coming up next week, the 8th and 9th, is a catalyst. It's, a spark plug for the vision that you've laid out, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And make no mistake, events are wildly important. They launch things. There's great inertia that's created at a big event, and that's, I believe, what's going to happen. And beyond that, there is work to be done and momentum to be maintained and increased. And I want to just put one more or two more perhaps screens up here. I have a free gift for you today. One of the great teachings I get asked about a lot is called 6 Secrets of Legacy Leadership. It's actually a YouTube teaching that I do, and it's the 6 things that great leaders do to live a lasting legacy. Not just leave a lasting legacy, live a lasting legacy, because we can only leave the one that we're living. If you'd like to have that, if you want to text the keyword character to 67463, we'll send you the link to see that video. It's free. It's a free gift to you. I think it'll challenge you. I think it will encourage you. It'll help you answer some of the questions Dave and I have been talking about, like who are you and why are you here and who are you running with, and some of the 6 keys to living what I call a legacy leadership. Once again, David Hucks, People's Rally, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, August 8th and 9th at Pelican Stadium. I'm your host, Randy Bixby with Character Genetics Live. It's been great to be with you. Until next time, remember, Character Genetics, permanent shifts and lasting change.